Hello, everyone. And about 4 years ago, when I knew a whole lot less than I know now, I theorized that I could make my own red rilies by mixing my red cherry shrimp and my blue jelly shrimp. Well, after 4 years of going at it, I think I am almost there now. There are better red rilly lines out there, but I made this one from scratch in 4 years. So let's take a look. So this is the 40-gallon tank we've been looking at so far. And this is the tank where when I was getting close to having these guys about good, I put them in this 40-gallon tank. Now, they're still a little ways away. Now, let me tell you some of how I started and some of the things we struggle with these guys, and how I went about doing it over the last 4 years. And then we're going to pick out some of the bad ones, the adult bad ones, because if you look real close, you will see there are lots of little tiny ones in here. Now, those are going to be too little to go over real good, so we'll get those the next time. But there's all kinds of little guys all over the walls still. So there's a lot in here, but eventually we're going to try to get those out today. Okay, so this is the tank it all started in 4 years ago, thereabouts. Now, this is an orange tank, but it used to be my jungle, or now it's a yellow. What did I say, orange? Now this is a yellow Neo tank and just moss. It used to be my jungle valve farm, and where I put some of my lesser red shrimp. Now I still had a lot of pretty good ones, so I just put about 30. Now mind you, there's probably 700-800 red shrimp in here, and I put about 30 blue jellies, and they did their thing with all the red shrimp for about a year and a half. And then after a year and a half, I picked out, I think it was 18 or 20 that were pretty good red rilies. Now there's more than that, but I picked out the good ones. And so for the last 2.5 years, we've been doing the reset. Now, like I said, they still have work. They're still not quite there yet, but this is the project tank. And you'll see what we get there. They still spit out some jellies, but the biggest thing here was they wanted to keep making just reds. They wanted to just make red shrimp. So out of those first 20 or so that I pulled out of that tank that had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reds, when those guys bred out in this tank, they were probably like 60-70% reds and a handful of, and then red rilies, and not really that many good red rilies. So about every 6 months or so, this tank has been picked out and restarted with only the best dozen or so shrimp out of hundreds and hundreds. We breed out hundreds and hundreds. I only keep a handful. Well, this last spring, I put in about 30 of them outside, and then about 10 of them stayed in here. The 10 absolute very best non-buried ones stayed in here. And then about 30 or 40 went outside. And then that brings us back to the 40-gallon in here. And out of those that were outside, I mean, there's probably like almost 1,000 shrimp outside. I put about 180, 150, I can't remember exactly, the very best ones in here for the last 3 months or so. And now these guys are breeding out. Doing good. And then whenever we have calls of these guys and or my projects, when I say I only keep like 10, 20 shrimp out of hundreds and hundreds, all those come in here. That's what I call my fire and ice. Now, all these red rilies, that thing I started doing 4 years ago, it's kind of turned into my obsession with shrimp here for a while now. And I've even taken these red rilies, a handful of them, and trying to make blue red rilies, and I've talked about that in recent videos. Now these guys will still spit out some blue looking ones, but I'm not worried one way or the other. We're not trying for blue. I'm just trying for the best rili patterns, red rili patterns here. Okay, so now here is the part where I try to catch shrimp on camera. I have this guy, this blue jelly one with a little red dot on its head. This is the one we were going to try to get. Oh, and we got it. And then we're just right here beside the fire and ice. Straight in that tank. All right. And now, let's see. Back in the back of that pile, there's one that's real similar. And it just swam back behind the... Ooh, this guy is an active. He's swam across the tank twice now. And we got him. We got him, we got him, we got him. All right. So, like I was saying, every time we work on these guys, they get better and better. They're not they're not there yet. I mean, that's the way you're never really finished with a line. You can always get them better and better. There's a couple weird little ones. I don't know if I can catch those or not. We're gonna try. No, too hard to film. Oh, here is, that's like a red riding hood right there. Oh yeah, as soon as I try to catch them, I see all kinds of little tiny ones scurrying around everywhere. So, I'm sure this is making a great video. Alright. It's hard to catch them little tiny ones. Now you see right there, we have some little tiny ones that are fully red, but this camera zoomed in and it's right up on the glass. We will get those little teeny guys. I ain't gonna be able to get them on camera anyway. Alright, but you see, they're really pretty good. I'd say, I think once you start getting to 80%, you can kind of start calling it a line. I think we're there. I'd say probably like 10% that they throw are mostly reds, and then a couple percent are blue jellies. Not a lot. Now, these guys, another funny thing is, the better they got as far as not throwing full reds, the better they got, the more blue jellies they threw. So that tells me that they could have had better success starting from a more controlled setting from the beginning instead of just throwing some blue jellies randomly in a tank with hundreds of reds. But, you know, you live and you learn and you get better at stuff as you go in this, anything you're doing in life. There's still a bunch of them over here. So I already pulled all the moss that was in this tank. We got a bucket of moss and a bucket of moss. So I'm gonna get to calling and get as many more as I can. It's gonna be super hard to get them off or get them on camera. So I'm gonna get all the ones I can get. I'll put some moss in here, and this tank will be good to go. It'll be in here another 3 or 4 months. Hopefully have lots more. Okay, so I got quite a few more shrimp pulled out. I'm sure there's still a handful in there, especially little ones that we didn't get. Put some moss back in there. I always like this view of the shrimp. Zoom in, top down. Oh, look at them. I love that view. Red release. Okay, so in the end, for a conclusion of this video, 4 years ago, I liked the idea of experimenting and mixing different kinds of shrimp. So I did a research. As I was learning how shrimp are related together and different lines, I theorized that I could mix blue jellies and reds together. Now, mind you, I've had reds. I've never seen a red really in my reds ever. And I've seen blue jellies with dots of red and a couple reallys. So it's kind of, I kind of thought I was right and that what I thought I had learned was correct. So I tested it. Despite all the people out there that'll tell you, don't mix shrimp, no matter, you're just going to get wilds. I still get people telling me that today. It's like, well, here's proof. So I had a dream of mixing different kinds of shrimp together to make my own line. And I almost did. I'm there, kind of. But we still have a little ways to go. However, of course, I could have just spent $50 and got a handful of super nice red release and been done with it. But I'm a shrimp nerd. So, and spent 4 years and hundreds of hours and oh my goodness. But anyway, you know, I'm very thankful for this experience and not just listening to people. I thought surely there's more to it than just you can't do it. So I did it, and here are the results after lots and lots of hard work. So the most important thing is not these shrimp, but all the stuff I've learned about how these guys, how these neogenetics work. So that's that. We'll check back in 3 or 4 months and see how these little guys are breeding out. I'd say it looks pretty promising. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.